हो गया.
Good morning, friends. Once again, welcome to this lockdown period. Today is the last day of 2.00 lockdown period. So, first of all, I welcome to dignitaries CA Dr. Girish Ahuja sir, CA Sunil Patodia sir, CA Virag Shah, and CA Vijendra Jain on this platform. Just to introduce myself, CA Abhishek Shah. I am starting the session and I am giving you a big brief background of our network, What Next team and CAs of Mumbai. We are working since last 6 years and we have connected around 15,000 professionals across India through social media platform via Facebook, WhatsApp group and Telegram groups. So now I request CA Virag Shah to give a brief introduction of Dr. CA Girish Ahuja sir. Virag Shah.
Good morning, friends. It is a proud privilege to introduce our today's guest speaker, none other than Girish Ahuja sir. Sir is not required any formal introduction. Everybody is known.
Virag, your voice is
formal introduction. Let me introduce sir.
Virag, your voice is
Ahuja
cracking.
sir is a
Voice is cracking. Voice is cracking.
Direct tax expert.
Virag, your voice is cracking.
Graduation from
Your voice is cracking.
Then graduation from
Switch off once and then again do it. Your voice is cracking.
Hello.
Yeah, now it is audible.
Yeah.
I think Virag's voice is not coming properly. So his voice is not coming.
Tell him to unmute now.
Okay.
He's doing it.
Yeah, Virag, please try. Virag. I think
Virag, unmute करो जरा अपने आप को. आपने तो नहीं कर दिया, जो ऑर्गेनाइजर है वो कई बार अनम्यूट कर देता है, वो अनम्यूट होता नहीं है. If somebody is here sitting here who has done it, please do that. Unmute वो कर सकता है, कई बार वो नहीं कर सकता जो host है. Who is the host? Let him unmute him.
No, he's the only host.
Virag is
himself the host. Himself the host.
Okay, sir. So I think he is not able to.
चलिए शुरू कर दीजिए ना, हो गया ना.
Yeah. Okay. So now I request CA Vijendra Jain to give a brief introduction of CA Sunil Patodia sir and invite CA Sunil Patodia sir to give a welcome note as well as give a brief introduction of CA Girish Ahuja sir. So I request Vijendra ji to please go ahead.
Thank you, Abhishek Shah and my colleague Virag. Before starting and brief the introduction about Sunil sir, I also thanks Dr. Girish Ahuja ji, DT legend guru all over India of our ICI fraternity on behalf of Virag Shah. सर, आपकी पहचान और आपकी ख्याति के किसी मेंबर को जरूरत नहीं है. आपका अगर हम जहाँ पे नाम लिख देते हैं वहीं पे लोग आपसे जुड़ जाते हैं. ना आप सर, आप आपकी आवाज से जाने जाते हो, ना आपके साथ पेन चलता है, ना कागज चलता है. So I was first welcome you on behalf of Virag Abhishek platform. This is the What Next team social platform, and I thanks to CA Sunil Patodia sir, a past chairman of ICI WRC 2015, secretary 2017 with the past president ICI Praful sir. He is a founder partner of HK Patodia Associates. In 1718, he is a game changer governor of Lions District 323183 of Lions International. 1819, he is a multiple council chairperson. In ICI, in WRC, in council, he served 9 years. In Bharat Vikas Parishad, Rajasthan Seva Sanstha, he is a patron member. RVG Hostel, he is serving from last 12 years, 6 years as a treasurer, 6 years as a joint secretary. He is a real game changer. He is a very social person, very soft, नर्म स्वभाव के, चेहरे पे हमेशा मुस्कान रहती है. किसी भी चीज को इम्पॉसिबल बोलना आता ही नहीं है, किसी को नाराज करना आता नहीं है. चार्टर्ड अकाउंटेंट फर्टिनिटी में एक बहुत बड़ी पहचान है और मेरे खुद के मेंटर है. आई एम थैंकफुल सुनील सर, आपको एक कॉल करा हमने, अभिषेक ने और विराग ने, कि गिरीश सर हमको चाहिए, तो आपने कहा कि इसमें कोई कोई बड़ी बात नहीं, गिरीश सर तो सबके लिए अवेलेबल है, बस बोले उनको इन्फॉर्म करो, वो हमेशा अवेलेबल रहते हैं. तो गिरीश सर और सुनील सर, थैंक यू सो मच coming to us and sharing your views. Looking forward. Once again, thank you, Game Changer Governor and past Chairman of WRC, Game Changer CA Lion Sunil Patodia sir. Thank you over there. And I am CA Vijayan Jain. Very thankful to Viraksha and my colleague Abhishek for giving me this opportunity and introduce the both legend of the India and ICI fraternity. Thank you.
So now,
Thank you.
thank you, Vijendra ji. Now I request CA Sunil Patodia sir, as Vijendra mentioned, he's a game changer. So now I request Sunil sir to give a welcome note and start the session.
Thank you, Vijendra, for kind words. Thank you, Abhishek, for giving me the opportunity. Friends, good morning. This is a great opportunity for me talking in this lockdown arena. First of all, this network, what next? It is a wonderful network, and I must compliment CA Virag Sir and CA Abhishek Sir, who are doing so much for our profession since last 6 years. And I'm really, really grateful to Vijender, who has connected me. We are always meeting Virag Sir and Abhishek Sir, but for this particular platform, I got the opportunity through Vijender. He just called me and he was very keen that amendment in 2020 finance bill and the recent ordinance passed by the government. So there was a request for Dr. Girish Ahujaji. So I'm fortunate that since in 9 years of my service as a regional council member, and then when we need Girish Ahuja sir for members or especially for students, in my 9 years I have observed that CA students, particularly in Mumbai, they are not turning up to CA Institute to have to attend some program, but as and when we put some lecture or some course for 2 days, 5 days, sometime 1 week course for direct text. So as and when we put the Girish Ahuja in a day or two, the whole seminar is full. So, and what I was stunned to see that Girish Ahuja is, when he is entering to the hall, he is not having any note in his hand and is not having any pen, no laptop. So he is just entering and delivering the speech, maybe 12 hours continue. WRC JS Lord Auditorium and Shivji Kaurji Auditorium. Whenever he visit, he never see anything. Everything fitted in his mind. I don't know how he remembers so many things, and not only giving one thing in one day. So many programs, so many lectures giving one day in so many days. But in recent arena where we are locked in our home, but as soon as this lockdown is over, we will be going to facing so many difficulties. Our tax gatherers, they are maybe thinking how to go ahead, but finance bill, as we know, that is now it become finance act, and according simultaneously government of India has come out with ordinance also. But we are sure that as the economy is open up, there will be difficulties both sides for tax gatherers also and taxpayers also. Even if the tax is payment related to previous year, it because of liquidity crunch, the taxpayer may need some time. So I don't know what will happen. Girish Ahuja have a very rich experience, and his experience in the profession is as much as is my age. I am passed in 68. I born in 68 and he is qualified in 70. So how to deal with such situation from profession side and government side, he can understand better and he can guide better, because in so far we see as a government of India and the Institute of Chartered Accountants of India is always available, not only available in sharing the knowledge to guide. All of you must be knowing that we are electing our 32 Central Council members. At the same time, we are having 8 nominated Central Council members. Dr. Girish Ahuja ji has been nominated 2 terms as a Central Council member, and Government of India is always ready to appoint for him full term also. But he is doing so many service to the institute without being in Central Council member or any post. So he is always say, well, why need to appoint me? You appoint anyone else, and whatever there to for me, I am doing there without any post and without any designation. So this is how I can say the encyclopedia of income tax, direct tax, and any other matter, whatever come to Dr. Girish Ahuja ji. We are fortunate that he has spared some time for all of us in this busy schedule, because maybe 5, 6, or sometimes 7 webinars he is doing in a day in present era. So I thank you, Girish Ahuja sir, and I compliment Virag and Abhishek and Vijender for this wonderful initiative. Thank you very much and all the best.
Now I request Girish sir to take the session.
Good morning, friends. The past chairman of the WIRC and of course the biggest lion I have seen, I will call him a lion, of course, Sunil Patodia ji, and of course the coordinator of this program, Abhishek Shah ji, Virag ji, and Vijendra Jain. Actually, Vijendra Jain has been coordinating with me, but I thought I will give his take his name only last of all. Virag could not talk, but I can see the trophies or the medals which he has won for delivering lectures, that you can see already, and you can appreciate his effort, in delivering lectures. So now let me come back. Let me tell you, I have divided this discussion in 2 parts. One is government amendment in Finance Bill 2 2020, which has now become Act. The another is that relaxation ordinance of taxation. I'll come to both. First, government amendment. What are government amendment? Why do we call it government amendment? The bill is presented by the finance minister every year, and this time also it was presented on 1st February 2020. Now, after it is presented, it is in a public domain. And once it is in a public domain, we also give from the Institute of Chartered Accountants side post-budget memorandum, and they get lot of suggestions from industry, trade, commerce, and everything. And then those suggestions are considered, and they are brought before the finance minister. The finance minister, on the day of passing the bill, moves a certain amendment in the finance bill which she has already introduced in the Lok Sabha. She has moved this time amendment in finance bill. Even the MPs sitting can also move their amendments. Then those amendments are put to vote, clause by clause. They are put to vote. After those amendments are carried or passed, then those amendments are introduced in the finance bill. And then each clause of the finance bill is put to vote. Each clause of the finance bill after amendment is put to vote. And once it is passed by Lok Sabha, it goes to Rajya Sabha, and ultimately the president gives the consent, it becomes a finance act. So these government amendments were brought at the time of passing the bill. There were 40 clauses of the amendment, but don't worry, they are not 40 in number. For one section, there may be three clauses which were there for amendment. So there, if I sum up, there are only 18 clauses which are meant for you. At the same time, wait. The first is not very relevant. It is regarding what you call Director General of Income Tax or Principal Director General of Income Tax were not included in the definition of Chief Commissioner of Income Tax under Section 2, Clause 15. They have incorporated that, not meant for us. Now, the most important, please have patience. It will take 10 to 50 minutes time to explain that, and that is residential status. I remember on 1st of February 2020, I was giving a webinar at the institute premises. We always do that on the first day of the presentation of bill from institute in the evening. I was presenting that webinar. I was delivering the lecture. We got about 400 queries. I'm not talking about the other. 400 queries from Gulf countries. We got queries from Dubai. We got queries from Kuwait, Muscat, and so many things. Sir, what is this? What kind of a law this has been made? We are going to be in difficulty, and all that. 400 queries were there. At that time, I told them, don't worry, because we have treaties with UAE, we have treaty with Kuwait, we have treaty with Oman, we have treated with Qatar also. That you will be less affected. He says, sir, but this is like a great difficulty, and we don't have treaty in Bahrain also. What will happen? I said, don't worry. You have already invited me to come there. I'll come there and explain to you. I went to Dubai. I went to Kuwait. I went to, of course, Qatar also, Doha. I went to even Muscat, Oman. 4 places I went there. I explained to them, but they had a lot of difficulties also in understanding that, saying that you are telling us to obtain tax residency certificate from all these, from this, and there are 8 million people outside India, and how to obtain a tax residency certificate is not an easy job. So then I came back. And I came back and went to I got appointment with the chairman. Chairman has been very kind to me every chairman has been very kind to me. Whenever I ask for an appointment, they give me. Individually, they give me that appointment. I discussed with them that this is the problem. This is going to put them into a lot of difficulties. Sir, look into this matter. Institute also must have represented, I'm not saying that. But on my own, I have gone because I've been going many times there. They very kindly discussed that matter, and now they have brought the amendment. Now it is not that difficult. Now I'm going to talk to you. First, I will talk to you the whole thing and then amendment simultaneously. What is Section 6? Residential status. And Section 6, Clause 1 talks about residential status of an individual. I'm repeating, you might have done your CA days. What is residential status of an individual? Listen to me carefully. Each one is important. An individual is said to be resident in India if he has been in India for a period or period amounting to all 182 days in the relevant previous year. If anyone is in India, whether citizen or non-citizen in India for 182 days, he becomes resident of India. Okay. Or if you don't satisfy this condition, the second condition says in the 4 preceding previous year, immediately preceding the relevant previous, he should have been in India for 365 days or more, and in the relevant previous year, 60 days or more. Just 60 days in the current previous year, and the 4 preceding previous year, 365 days, you become resident. But wait, there is an explanation which you read at that time also. The explanation is there are 2 clauses. Clause A of explanation and clause B of explanation. I'm not talking about A clause, because A clause is when you leave India for employment abroad, period of 60 days is taken as 182 days. I'm not talking about going from India. Now I'm talking about B clause. Listen to me carefully. What was the earlier one, and now it is what is changed. B clause says, in case of a citizen of India or a person of Indian origin who is outside India, comes to India for a visit, the period of 60 days in condition number 2 shall be substituted by 182 days. Meaning thereby, you are a citizen outside India, you are a person of Indian origin, you are outside India. We welcome you to come to India. If you come and stay here for a visit, 181 days, you are non-resident. But if you come and stay here for 182 days, you automatically satisfy the first condition, then second condition may not be seen at all, because 182 days you are resident. This was the law. Now what is the change? What is the change? Please, this condition is not changed. This condition has been enlarged. Now I will repeat the new condition. I'll repeat the old and then add more. In case of a citizen of India or a person of Indian origin who is outside India, comes to India for a visit, the period of 60 days in condition number 2 shall be substituted by 182 days. ये तो पहले से था 182 days. Now क्या किया? And In the case of a citizen of India or a person of Indian origin who is outside India, whose total income, excluding the income from foreign source, exceeds rupees 15 lakh in a previous year, the period of 60 days shall be substituted by 120 days. देखिए क्या कहा है, पहले वाले को चेंज नहीं किया, but what has changed? In case of a citizen of India or person of Indian origin who is outside India. Now see, whose total income, excluding total income from foreign source, exceeds 15 lakh in that previous year, the period of 60 days shall be substituted by 120 days. Let me explain you what is total income, excluding income from foreign source. Total income means Indian income. Indian income means incomes received in India, deemed to be received in India, income accrue or rise in India, or income accrue or arise out, deemed to accrue or rise in India. Two more income. You don't have to take foreign income from foreign source, but two foreign income to be taken. One, income from a business outside India, but that business is controlled from India. Income of a profession outside India, but that profession is set up in India. If these two income plus Indian income, if it exceeds 15 lakh in that previous year, I repeat, Indian income plus two foreign income. What is that foreign income? Income of a business outside India, which is controlled from India, or income of a profession which is outside India, which is set up in India. If these two plus the Indian income exceeds 15 lakh, then you can come to India for a visit for 119 days. You will not be called a resident. 119. The moment here you are here for 120 days, you will be called a resident. You will be called resident. I'll come back to this 15 lakh and everything again. I'm stopping here. I'm coming back now. Now they have inserted clause 1A under section 6. Listen to me carefully. I'm not going to tell you what happened earlier. Now new change. What is there? In case of a citizen of India, only citizen, person of Indian origin I'm not talking about. In case of a citizen of India whose total income without including the income from foreign source exceeds 15 lakh, but if he is not liable to pay tax in the foreign country or a foreign territory by reason of his residence or domicile or criteria of similar nature, then he will be treated as deemed to be resident in India. मैं दोबारा समझाता हूं. In case of a citizen of India, citizen, person of Indian origin not included, who is outside India, whose total income, including the two foreign source income, there are other not. Total income means Indian income plus income from a business outside India, controlled from India, income of a profession outside India, set up in India. That two plus Indian income exceeds 15 lakh. You will be deemed to be resident in India. Please, deemed to be resident in India. If is not liable to pay tax in the foreign country or a foreign territory by reason of his residence or by reason of his domicile or criteria of similar nature. Are you understanding? You are in Cayman Island. You are not liable to pay tax there. There is no. You are in Bermuda. You are in Bahama. You are in Dubai. You are in Kuwait. You are in Doha. You are, let's say, Qatar. You are in Oman. You are in Bahrain. Please note, there is no tax there. You are not liable to pay tax in that country. Right? Now the question is, if your total income in India plus two foreign source income, that is income for a business which is controlled from India or a profession which is outside India, set up in India, these two income plus Indian income, if it exceeds 15 lakh in that previous year, you will be deemed to be a resident even if you don't come to India even for one day. You are permanently in Dubai. You don't come to India even for one day. Look here, one day. But you have Indian income received in India, deemed to be in India, accrue or rise in India, deemed to, plus two foreign income of a business which is outside India but controlled from India, income of a profession which is outside India but set up in India. If it exceeds 50 lakh in that previous year, you will be deemed to be a resident. Don't worry, deemed to be a resident. So now, even if you don't come to India for one day, they are deemed resident. This is like USA. In USA, if you are a citizen of USA or holding green card of USA, you will be deemed to be resident of USA, come what may. You don't come to USA even one day. You don't stay in one day. USA said you are citizen of India. Oh, sorry, you are citizen of USA or green card holder. You will be resident of USA. You will pay tax on the global income. This is already there. You will pay tax on the global income. This I have already explained to you. Now, don't worry. First, let me tell you, why do we determine residential status? You can be a resident in India, you can be non-resident in India, and resident can be two parts: resident and ordinary resident in India, resident but not ordinary resident. You are not ordinary. This is section 6, talks about not ordinary resident in India. Wait. A resident of India has to pay tax on the global income. Global means total world income. Wherever earned, he pays tax in India. It's a different thing. If he has paid tax in a foreign country, he gets the relief of the tax in India, double taxation relief. But he has to pay tax not only on Indian income, but also entire foreign income. But if you are not ordinary resident, carefully, Vijendra ji, listen to me carefully. If you are not ordinary resident, you have to pay tax. Income received in India, deemed to be received in India. Incomes accrue or rise in India, deemed to accrue. This everybody has to pay. Now, third income. Income from a business which is outside India, but controlled from India. Income of a profession which is outside India, but set up in India. Only these two income. If you are a resident, you have to pay tax only on entire foreign income. But if you are a not ordinary resident, you don't pay tax on salary income, you don't pay tax on house property income, you don't pay tax on capital gain in outside country, you don't pay tax any income outside India except two income. One, income from a business which is outside India but controlled from India, or income from a profession which is outside India set up. Clear? Clear? So this is, now I'm coming to this. Not a non-resident has to pay tax on two incomes. Incomes received in India, deemed to be received in India. Incomes accrue or rise in India, deemed to accrue. Only Indian income. But wait. Non-resident has additional benefit. If he has a double taxation agreement with that country where that non-resident is a resident, one who is a non-resident in India but resident of other country, and we have a double taxation treaty, then certain Indian income, although it in India, is taxable at a special rate, at a concessional rate. In India, now dividend is going to be taxed in the hands of the recipient, which may be 30% also. But wait, if you are a country, if you are a non-resident of India and you are a resident of foreign country, if we have a treaty with that country, then in treaty it is written that you have to pay tax on dividend income only 10%. Only 10%. In some country we have only 5%. But the balance he has to pay tax of in the country where he is resident. He has to pay in the country where he is resident. But India gives the advantage that if you happen to be non-resident, we will give you certain tax at a concessional rate. So everybody wants to become non-resident. Now I come back. Now I'm taking you to not ordinary resident section 6. What was the existing situation under section 6 for not ordinary resident, and what are the additions which have been made? Try to understand. Existing situation is, if you are an individual resident in India in the previous year, resident, then you will become not ordinary resident if you were non-resident in 9 out of 10 previous years immediately preceding the relevant previous year. What I'm saying, you are resident of this year, but if you are non-resident in 9 out of 10 previous years, you will become not ordinary resident. याद कर रहे हैं विजेंद्र जी, याद आ रहा है जब सीए करी थी तो क्या क्या था, वो अब रिपीट कर रहे हैं, इनके लिप्स हिल रहे हैं. अब दूसरी भी थी, if second था, you were not in India for more than 729 days in the 7 preceding previous year, immediately preceding the relevant previous year. अगर आप 729 days से ज्यादा नहीं थे तो भी आप नॉट ऑर्डिनरी माने जाते थे। ये दो कंडीशन थी। एचयूएफ के लिए तो कर्ता का देखा जाता था। अब रुकिए, अब कुछ और बढ़ा दी। क्या? इफ यू आर ए डीम्ड रेजिडेंट देन यू विल बी ट्रीटेड एज नॉट ऑर्डिनरी रेजिडेंट इन इंडिया। अगर आप डीम्ड, और डीम्ड रेजिडेंट कौन है? अरे वो जो फॉरेन कंट्री में टैक्स नहीं देते, दोज हु आर नॉट लायबल टू पे टैक्स इन द फॉरेन कंट्री एंड देयर टोटल इनकम एक्सीड्स 15 lakh. I told you, even if they don't come to India for one day, they become deemed resident. Don't worry, deemed resident will now be called not ordinary resident always. Deemed resident will be not ordinary. And if he is not ordinary, then he doesn't have to pay tax on foreign income of salary, house property, or any income except two income on foreign income. That is income from a business which is outside India but controlled from India, income of profession which is outside India but set up in India. याद आया? अब ये तो इसलिए कोई नुकसान नहीं हुआ। Indian income में तो he was already paying, and now he is paying tax only on two more income. That is income which is outside India, business controlled, set up India, profession set up in India. Wait. उसके बाद भी बताऊंगा. He will have additional advantage. Wait. Now I am coming to that point which I told you under clause B. क्या था clause B? In case of a citizen of India or a person of Indian origin who is outside India comes to for a visit to India, the period of 60 days पहले में था will be substituted by 182 days. इसमें कोई change नहीं. But यहाँ total income should not be more than 15 lakh. Because इसका अगला part था, in case of a citizen of India or a person of Indian origin who is outside India whose total income from excluding the income from foreign source exceeds 15 lakh, the period of 60 days shall be substituted by 120 days. कहा था मैंने? 1.
Yes.
अगर 119 days है तो नॉन रेजिडेंट, 120 है तो रेजिडेंट. अब रुकिए, अब क्या करा 66 में? That if you are a citizen of India or a person of Indian origin, you are outside India, your total income exceeds 15 lakh, you can come to India even for 120 days to 181 days. If you are here for 119, non-resident. But if you want to come here for 120 to 181 days, you will be called not ordinary resident. And once you are not ordinary resident, you don't have to pay tax on foreign income. Only two foreign income are liable to pay tax. One is income from a business which is outside India but controlled from India, or income of profession which is outside India set up in India. Clear? So we have given the benefit. Many people in India have become non-resident. Many reasons for that. They have shifted to foreign country. There are people who says India is a corrupt country. Don't tell me that India is a corrupt country. They have taken the money by corrupt practices of money laundering to a country outside India. They have taken the money otherwise also under a liberalized, under a scheme where you can take a non-resident $1 million every year. Every year they can take. They are taking away the money from India and then saying India is a corrupt country. India is not corrupt. You want to save tax by becoming non-resident in India. You want to do that. And you know that Black Money Act came. In Black Money Act, a resident and ordinary resident, now आप अपना form number देखिए, form for filing a return. If you're a resident and ordinary resident, you know that if you have a foreign income or you have a foreign asset, you have to give complete detail of that foreign income or foreign asset. And they have not given complete detail when the Foreign Bill, Black Money Act came in 2014. So they are avoiding now that if they are caught some money, they are caught that you have a money outside India, you have an asset outside India, you have not given in your return of income, then you will be liable for imprisonment. So they are becoming now non-resident. Okay, you become non-resident. But now we will not allow you to come to India for more than 119 days if you are having a total income in India plus your for two foreign income more than 15 lakh. Come to India for 119 days. If you are here for 120 to 181, we'll call you not ordinary resident in India. And the moment you are not ordinary, you will be liable to pay tax not only on Indian income, but two more foreign income which accrue or rise outside, income from a business outside India, controlled from India, income from a profession outside India, set up in India. I can give you the example. Many people have settled abroad. Even I've been told, I cannot verify. Harish Salve sir, he's also now living mostly in outside India, and he has become non-resident of India. No problem, sir. Most welcome. But wait, you are practicing in India. You have a profession. You are registered in the Bar Council of India. Your profession was set up in India. Now, if you have a total income in India more than 15, what to talk about more than 50? He may be having crores of rupees income in India, plus 2 more income. Then his income from a profession, which is outside India, professional income is earning, shall also be taken into account if you are here for 120 days to 181 days, because that your profession was set up in India and you have earned income from a profession outside India, but that profession is set up in India, pay tax on that. Otherwise, don't come here for more than 119 days. But wait, it is only if you are not ordinary resident, you pay tax only that profession which is set up. But still you wait. Don't worry. We have double taxation treaty. In double taxation treaty, you have to be resident in one of the two countries before we apply the treaty, either of that country or India. But there are certain cases in a treaty where you are resident of both the countries. You are resident of foreign country also, you are resident of India also. When I say resident, it includes not ordinary resident also. The deemed resident also included. That Gulf people now will be called deemed resident. You are resident of this country, you may be a deemed resident of this country, you are not ordinary resident of this country, and you are also resident of that country. What happens if you are resident of both countries? You remember, we won 2 matches from New Zealand, 2020 matches, where there was a tie. And when there was a tie, we applied tiebreaker rule in T20. What is the tiebreaker rule? You play super over. कोई impression नहीं था विजेंद्र जी का tiebreaker के ऊपर क्या बात है. You play super over. When you play super over, whichever team scores the maximum will be the winner. But suppose both the teams scores the same number, then you have to play another super over because there is another tie. You keep on playing a super over till it is finally decided who is the winner. Am I right? This is the law. Now, even in the treaties also, if you are resident of both the country, say you are resident of UK, you are resident of India, ordinary resident, not ordinary resident, deemed resident, and there is a tiebreaker, don't worry. We will have to apply tiebreaker rule. The first tiebreaker rule says you will be resident of that country where you have a permanent home. If you have a permanent home in foreign country, you will be non-resident of India. Then you will become non-resident India. If you have a permanent in India, then even if you are resident of that country, you will become non-resident of that country. This is permanent home. Now, quite possible. You have permanent home in both the countries. Again tie. Again tie. Tiebreaker rule. In which country you have personal interest or vital interest or economic interest? If you have a more economic interest in India, economic interest, vital interest, personal interest, your family is here, your everything is here, your assets are here, then you become resident of this country. But if you have more vital interest or economic interest outside India, then you become non-resident. Even if you are resident, you become non-resident for the purpose of treaty. Clear? But suppose it is not possible to determine vital interest, or it is also you have been permanent in both the countries. Then we have another thing. We call it is where is your habitual abode. ये तीसरा tiebreaker है. Where you are habitually, you have habitual abode. कहाँ आप regularly रहते हैं? वो भी होगा. नहीं तो फिर nationality देखते हैं. कई tiebreaker rule है. लेकिन जब भी आप 2 कंट्री के रेजिडेंट होंगे, जिससे आप वहां के भी रेजिडेंट यहाँ पे, आपको टाई ब्रेकर रूल लगाना ही पड़ता है. एंड इफ आई बिकम नॉन रेजिडेंट ड्यू टू टाई ब्रेकर रूल, because let's say Harish always become non-resident because of tie-breaker rule, although we have told them you are here for 120 days, you are ordinary and not ordinary resident. But if there is a tie-breaker rule, let me tell you, in that case you become non-resident. And the moment he is non-resident, he does not have to pay tax on any foreign income. No income, even that business which is outside India, controlled from India, profession outside India, set up in India, he doesn't have to pay. He has to pay tax only on Indian income. That everybody has to. And that too, on Indian income, the tax is not payable at the normal rate, like on dividend, like on interest, like on royalty, like on fee for technical services. In a tiebreaker rule, the amount to be paid in India, where you become non-resident, is much less than the normal rate. So therefore, don't worry even if you become not ordinary resident or non-resident, deemed resident or a resident. Still we have a tiebreaker rule, and where you will not have to pay so much of tax in India. So this was discussion on section 6.6. I have explained in detail, but there may be people who may be interested to know more about it. We will take up the question session later. But I have tried to explain each and every angle, including the double taxation treaty. Coming to now next thing. Listen to me now carefully. Section 1023C. Charitable institutions, those who got approval under 1023C. You know, we have charitable trust or institution. One, they are covered under 12AA registration. That is charitable and religious institution. But there are certain institutions under 1023C. I'm talking about university, college, or educational institution, not for making profit, but imparting education. They are covered under 1023C. And or hospital or medical institution, they can take approval under 1023C. 1023C exemption. 11, 12, also 12AA exemption. But there are differences between 1023C and 11 and 12. I don't want to go to detail of the difference, but the most important difference which I want to talk to you, why there is an amendment. They have said now, we recommended, we were redrafting the Income Tax Act. I was the member of the task force to redraft the Income Tax Act of India. We have already redrafted it and given that to the government of India. They have to take their decision. Income tax has been redrafted. Now wait, we told them, sir, look here, there are charitable trusts who are registered. They might have been registered 10 years back, 20 years back, 40 years back, 50 years back, or maybe 2 years back. Or there are certain charitable registered. In case of 1023, we call approval. In the case of a 12AA, we call registered. There may be, these are approved 20 years back. Now they have the registration number when they file return or approval number, but they don't have a certificate of registration or certificate of approval. What really happens is that AO, when during scrutiny assessment, asks for a certificate of registration and approval, we don't have. And that certificate is also not available with the Income Tax Department. We told them, do one thing. Let everyone, all charitable trust institutions or which are covered in 1023, let them apply once again. Re-registration, re-approval in a simplified form, yet to be notified by 31st August. Let me tell you, all charitable trust or institutions who are registered under 12AA or all charitable institutions who are under 1023C are supposed to apply fresh by 31st August. Everyone in a simplified form to be notified, and you will be given registration unique ID without any questioning. But we had gone up to that level, but they have gone further. They said now this re-registration form or whatever you got will be valid for a period of 5 years. Earlier it was valid for permanent, 5 years. And you will have to take renewal of that at least 6 months before the expiry of 5 years. That means before 4.5 years, you will have to seek renewal every 5 year time. You have to seek approval. And then they pointed out one more thing, that if you have 1023C approval and 12AA registration, you have both. Then look here, you will have to keep one. Either go under 1023C or go under 12AA. Earlier, you could make a choice every year. You want to go 12AA, do it. Next year, you may go 1023, do it. But now you have been told on 31st August when you apply, it will be only one registration, yeah, approval. Now I told them, you have given this condition, but look here, and section 11.12, that is 12AA registration, there are certain benefits which are not there in the case of 1023C. and therefore they will not go, charitable institution like college, university, or a hospital, they will not go to 1023C because that benefit is not available in 1023. They said, name it. I said, corpus donation. There is a voluntary contribution with a specific direction that it will form part of the corpus of the trust is only exempt under 11 subsection 1 clause D, provided you are registered. 11(1)D. The corpus donation was not exempt under section 1023C. You had to apply 85% to claim exemption. You could accumulate 15% of corpus donation, balance 85 you had to apply. But wait, after my persuasion and talking to them, they have been very kind to bring a government amendment by inserting explanation to proviso 3 to the section 1023C, stating that in the case you are registered, you are approved under 1023C, the corpus donation in your case shall also be exempt. Shall also be exempt from 1st April 2020. That means you need not spend that. Earlier, you were supposed to spend 85% to claim full exemption. Now you need not spend. It is just like 11(1)D exemption. So now you have to decide where will you go. 1023C approval, 12AA, only one allowed. If you have only one, apply the renewal for that. If you have both, only one. This is 1023C amendment which has come. You should know that. And please note, by chance, if you want to change from registration to approval or approval to registration, you can do it later. But at this stage, only one. Only one. But you will not carry both the registration and approval. What are the other differences? When you talk about charitable trust, there I have given so many lectures already on charitable trust. There I have mentioned that. It may be available on YouTube. You can always see it. Going further. This is the change in 1023C, which I wanted to tell you. But please, everyone who is listening to me, please apply for fresh registration or approval by 31st August in a simplified form, which is yet to be notified. They will notify, apply. Don't wait till 31st August. I've always seen that we do the thing only at last minute. And then we say, sir, the system was not, was not working. This is already 12 o'clock. It has passed. What will happen to me? Nothing will happen to you. You will be deregistered. So my point is, please don't wait till 31st August. You have to do it before 31st August once. Then renewal after 5 years. Correct? I'm now coming to dividend. You know that this was also recommended by us, that now dividend should be taxed in the hands of the recipient and not in the hands of the company. You may say why, but I have no time to explain. There was a lot of advantages, not for me. I was put to a loss, but foreign companies or foreign investors, because in their case, they were not getting benefit of tax paid in India in the foreign country. So we had to change it. I told them shift the burden on the shareholder. Wait. Now, shareholder has to pay tax. Now, take of a case of a company. You brought ATM because a company is a shareholder in another company, and a company receives dividend. And if a company receives dividend, it will have to pay tax on that. And then when the company distributes it, again shareholder will pay. No, we brought ATM. Sunilji may be remembering, there used to be section ATM during that time when he was doing CA. Now it is not there. They have reintroduced ATM, saying that when a domestic company receives dividend from another domestic company, that dividend, to the extent they distribute to the shareholder, subject to the condition given under ATM, that amount shall be allowed as deduction under ATM, and the company will not have to pay tax. That will be allowed as deduction. The shareholder will pay tax. Deduction of the amount which he received as dividend, if distributed to shareholder, subject to the condition given under ATM. But it was dividend received from a domestic company. Now change. Government amendment. Dividend received from, number 1, a domestic company. Number 2, a business trust. And number 3, even a foreign company. You receive dividend from a foreign company, you receive dividend from business trust, you receive dividend from domestic company. If that company who receives the dividend distribute the dividend to the shareholder as per the condition of ATM, the entire amount so distributed shall be allowed as deduction in the hands of the company, and it will be taxable only in the hands of the shareholder. So ATM has been changed. There was a small change also under 115O and what you call 1034, which now has lost its importance because we are holding the seminar on 3rd of May. But still, for the benefit of those who are doubt, you know what really happened is, I remember I'm on the board of many companies and I was there sitting, they wanted to distribute dividend by 31st March, saying that if we distribute now, we'll have to pay tax approximately 21%, but the promoters otherwise have income, lot of income. When they receive the dividend, they will have to pay tax now from this year at the rate of 30% plus surcharge plus education tax, which may go up to 42% also. So they wanted to distribute given interim dividend by 31st March. But the question was, interim dividend is liable to be taxed when it is unconditionally made available to the shareholder. They say, sir, we will declare, we will do it on 31st March or 30th March or 29th March. I can make RTGS for those who for record I have, but there are many shareholders to whom I will send dividend warrant. And if I give dividend warrant, they will receive this dividend warrant only after 31st March. And in 1034, it is written that on or after 1st April 2020, if you receive the dividend, the exemption will not be there. And 115O says you will have to pay tax. So how can it possible? They are receiving after 31st March, but I have declared and paid tax on 31st March. So now the amendment has been made. Please, if you have received dividend on or after 1st April 2020, but on which the company had already paid dividend distribution tax, then in that case, that amount will not be taxable in your hand. Will not be taxable in your hand. It is only when it is declared on or after 1/4/2020 that will become taxable in your hand, and not declared before 31st March 2020. Clear? This I wanted to tell you. Next change. Next change. I've told you ATM. Now I'm coming to a very important point. 115 BAA and 115 BAB. Look here. Taxation Amendment Act 2019 gave you a benefit that the companies, domestic company, can now pay tax at the rate of 22% plus surcharge 10% plus education cess 4%, if provided they will not be given exemptions or deductions which are allowed to otherwise. And in 115 BAB it said you can pay tax at the rate of 50% if you incorporate a company on or after 1st October 2019 and you start manufacturing your production, then you will be given the benefit of 15% tax, but you will not be given certain exemptions or deduction. This is 15%, there it is 20%. 15 plus 10% plus surcharge. Here it plus education says here 22 plus 10 plus education. Wait. In the bill, in the taxation amendment, it was said that in this case, this company will not be allowed deduction under Part C of Chapter 6A, because this was applicable for previous year 1920, assessment year 2021, which is already previous year is finished. Now it is assessment year 2021. They said you will not be allowed deduction under Part C of Chapter 6A, that is 80IA onwards, 80IA, 80IB, 80IBA onwards. But at that time it was written that you will be allowed deduction under 80G or 80GGB, which is under Part B of Chapter 6A. That will be allowed. That was in the Amendment Act. But what happened in the Finance Bill 2020 when it was presented? They said no deduction under Chapter 6A, even for Part B will not be allowed. For previous year 1920, assessment year 2021 relating to 80G or 80GGB, they said will not be allowed. Wait, because of this COVID disaster, now they wanted money, they wanted donations, and donations are covered under 80G. They had said you will not be allowed even for previous year 1920, assessment year 2021. Now with the government amendment, they have shifted this, that from next year 80G, 80GGB not allowed. 1st April 20 onwards. For previous year 1920, assessment year 2021, 80IA etc. will not be allowed, but 80G and 80GGB will be allowed to you. This they have given under government amendment. And they have also amended, they are also given concession, you know that, under the ordinance, saying that even if you donate up to 30th June, you can claim that deduction in the previous year 1920. You donate up to 30th June, claim in 1920. You cannot claim next year, because next year 80G will not be allowed. I'm talking about companies, 22% and 15%. Next year not allowed. So you have not already donated, okay. If you want to donate, you still have time. Donate it by 30th June, claim that deduction in the previous year 1920 as 80G or 80GGB, but from next year it will not be allowed to you. So that was the amendment which was made under 115 BAA or BAB, where in bill it was different. When one bill is passed by act, by bringing government amendment, they have said you will be allowed 80G and 80GGB. Next point. Very interesting situation, 115 BAC. You know that for individual HUF, you have been allowed to pay tax under the new regime. But if you go for under new regime, you will not be allowed exemption and deduction, certain exemptions and deduction. You can continue under old scheme, no problem. But if you want to shift to new scheme, you will have to opt for the new scheme. You know that what a new scheme? On the first 2,50,000, whether you're senior citizen or not senior citizen, 2,50,000 is exempt. Next 2,50,000 5%. Next 2,50,000 10%. Next 2,50,000 total income 15%. Next 2,50,000 20%. Next 2,50,000 25%. Above 15 lakh 30%. You know that. But if you want to go to the new scheme, you are not allowed many deductions and exemption. Wait here. Wait here. You had to opt for the new scheme. You have to opt every year before the due date. It was said if you have an income from business, you have to opt once only once. You may opt this year, you may opt later year, but you have to opt for once you are going to a new scheme. And once you go to new scheme, you cannot come back. You will have to continue there, but you will be allowed to come back once to old scheme, but not again go back. Only once you can come back, but it will be otherwise applicable for future year also in the case of business. But if you don't have business income, then you can opt for this scheme, new or old, every year. You go to new scheme, come back to old, go to new scheme, come back to old. By due date of return, you have to give your option. When this came, I was delivering lecture all over India, and I said the word uses income from business. Profession word is not written. So if you are carrying on a profession, you can change the option every year. Then I went to them several times and I told them that I am a professional, I'll opt for every year. He asked me, what do you think this scheme? I said, hopeless scheme. But still, he said, there will be many people who will go for it. I said, yes, there will be many people. But he said, what about? I said, I can never go. I'm a professional, I can change every year. He said, how can? Business includes profession. I said, don't tell me. The chapter name is profit or gain under the head business or profession. You cannot say the business profession is covered. Then they listened to me, and now they have brought the government amendment. Now they say if your total income includes income from business or profession, then you can opt for only once. Only once. But if your total income does not include income from business or profession, then you can change every year. So be careful. Now you have to decide only once you can do it. And once it happens that you have done it, you can come back only once to the old scheme. The new scheme, you can never go. So therefore, be careful while going for it. This is 115 BAC. Next change, 194J. You know that this year tax, the TDS to be deducted on fee for technical services other than professional services has been reduced from 10% to 2%. Fee for technical services other than professional services, the rate of TDS has been brought down from 10% to 2%. For all other, it is 10%. But wait, they had made an amendment in section 9, subsection 1, clause VI, there was an explanation, or that was the meaning of royalty. We had changed an amendment in the meaning of royalty, saying that earlier what was that a consideration for sale of cinematography film, or consideration for distribution of cinematography film, or exhibition of cinematography film was not considered as royalty, and therefore no TDS on that and as royalty. But now they have amended this explanation, saying that consideration for sale of cinematography film, or distribution of cinematography film, or exhibition of cinematography film will be considered as royalty. Now, if I go to 194J, the rate of TDS in case of royalty is 10%. Now they have brought an amendment that if there is a royalty, now please listen to me carefully, if there is a royalty in the nature of consideration for sale of cinematography film, or nature of consideration for exhibition of cinematography film, or consideration for distribution of cinematography film, you will have to deduct TDS at the rate of 2% instead of 10%. Royalty also for this item 2% instead of 10%, with effect from 1st April 20. You are in Bombay. In Mumbai, there are all producers, they're all distributors also. Please bro, tell them. These days they are silent. These days my company sale is equal to the sale of a Maruti Suzuki also. Is my company sale is also equal to the sale of Mercedes car or everything, because their sale is zero, my sale is also zero. So I have leveled them. But wait, you please note, whenever the producer sell his cinematography film, or gives for distribution, or distributor gives for exhibition, TDS will have to be deducted at the rate of 2% of the consideration. 2%, not 10%. This is 194J. Next change. 194N was brought last year. What was that? That if you withdraw more than 1 crore rupees from a bank or a post office or a cooperative bank in cash, you withdraw, then the bank or a post office, etc., is under an obligation to deduct TDS at the rate of 2% of an amount exceeding 1 crore. Remember, it came last year. Now 194N has been substituted by a new 194N with effect from 1st of July 2020. Meaning thereby, up to 30th June 2020, the old 194N will continue. You will deduct TDS only when the amount exceeds 1 crore. But from 1st of July, the new section 194N. The first basic thing is not changed. The first basic is same. If you withdraw more than 1 crore, they will deduct 2% of amount exceeding 1 crore. But now they have inserted 2 proviso, saying that new section 194, provided that if the assessee has not furnished return of income for the past 3 assessment year, even if you have furnished 1, no problem. But if you have not furnished your return of income of past 3 assessment year before the expiry, then in that case, the TDS will be deducted by the bank, etc., of an amount exceeding 20 lakh at the rate of 2%. Now it is not 1 crore, 20 lakh. When you calculate 20 lakh, you will see also April to June withdrawal also. April to July, because this is applicable from 1st July. And if from April to June it is already 20 lakh, then anything you withdraw after 1st July, 2%. If April to June it was less than 20 lakh, the moment you cross 20 lakh, there will be 2%. If you have not furnished return of income for the past 3 years. And above 1 crore, in this case, 5%. So be careful for those who have not furnished the return of income of the past 3 years. Banks, post offices, cooperative bank will be under an obligation with effect from 1st July 2020 to deduct TDS of an amount exceeding 20 lakh as withdrawn in cash. And when they withdraw more than 1 crore, 5%. So this is 194N newly incorporated. Next change. Remember, section 206C1G and 260C1H was introduced for collection of tax at source. 206C1G was if you transfer the amount under a liberalized remittance scheme, you are sending the amount outside India under a liberalized remittance scheme. You know, under liberalized remittance scheme, you can send $250,000 every year. Now, if you are transferring more than 7 lakh, the authorized dealer was under an obligation to deduct, to collect TCS at the rate of 5%. And second was also there, foreign package tour. The tour operator was supposed to collect the tax at the rate of 5%. This was 120C1G. There was 20C1H. If your turnover of the preceding, you are a seller, your turnover of the preceding year exceed 10 crore. Then while receiving the payment from the buyer, if it exceeds 50 lakh, you are supposed to collect TCS at the rate of 0.1%. Remember? Now look here. First, they were applicable from 1st April 2020. This has been shifted, postponed to what I say, 1st of October 2020. 1st of October 2020. No collection outsourced from April to September. It is 1st of October 2020. Right? Now, 206C1G, what is the change? Because now you have to deduct from October, not from April to September. If total remittance during the year, including April to September, exceeds 7 lakh, it does not exceed 7, no TCS. Does not exceed 7, no TCS. But if exceeds 7 lakh, while collecting 7 lakh limit, April to September will also be included. If it exceeds 7 lakh, then from 1st October, you will collect 5%. 5%. I told them, sir, 5% is a very big amount. They say, people, it will be pinch a lot. I said, look, a person, the children are studying abroad. He has taken a loan for education of his children. He's sending that money. You will say pay 7%, 5% also as a TCS. With great difficulty, he arranged a loan for education. At least don't do that. I said, there is a medical also treatment to be done outside India. He says, medical better in India. You have seen in COVID also. हालत of America क्या है? Medical के लिए नहीं किया, लेकिन उन्होंने कर दिया education के लिए. Now, if you have borrowed money, if you have not borrowed money, then you have sent more than 7 lakh, 5%. But 5% to be deducted from 1st October. While calculating 5%, April to September will also be counted. If you have already exhausted 7 from 1st October, you deduct. You will not see anything whatever. If already 7 is done or more than 7 is done from 1st of October, collect 5%. But if nothing was sent or less amount was sent up to 7 lakh, no, balance 5%. But if you have borrowed money from financial institutions which are specified under 80E, then the TCS rate will be 0.5%. Please, 0.5%, half percent instead of 5%. With great difficulty, I got it done. Only when you borrow money from financial institution, 0.5%, otherwise 5%. For foreign package tour, it is 5%. Correct? Next, 1H. Your turnover of the last year at more than 10 crore. Seller, you receive consideration up to 30th September, no TCS. No TCS. After 30th September, if the amount received is more than 50 lakh, including the earlier also, you collect TCS at the rate of 0.1% of amount exceeding 50 lakh. 0.1%. But wait, there was written consideration receipt for sale of goods. Somebody asked me, sir, if I sell goods, if I export the goods, then also from buyer I'll deduct TCS, collect TCS. Now they have said, no, sale of goods other than goods which are exported. Exported goods from buyer, you don't collect TCS. Other goods, you consideration receipt more than 50 lakh, collect TCS. One I have left, 194O. E-commerce operator to collect TCS from e-commerce participant at the time of making payment. That has also been postponed to 1st October. No TDS under section 194O up to 30th September. This will be applicable from 1st of October 2020. These are the amendments which I have given you, government amendment. Now I'm coming to the second part of my discussion. We will take the questions afterwards. Let me complete it and then we will take the questions. What is the next one? Listen to me carefully. Listen to me carefully. The name of this ordinance is Taxation and Other Law Relaxation of Certain Provisions, Ordinance 2020. Ordinance 2020. Relaxation of certain provision. Of what provision? Taxation and other law. Wait. First point is, why ordinance? Whenever Parliament is not sitting and you want to bring some amendment in any law, you cannot, you have to bring amendment bill, but Parliament is not there, then you bring ordinance that. That ordinance is on the recommendation of Prime Minister. The ordinance is issued by the President of India. And that ordinance, you have to get approval of the Parliament within 6 months of the next sitting of the Parliament, within 6 weeks of the next sitting of the Parliament. Whenever the Parliament sits next, within 6 weeks of that, you have to get the approval of this ordinance, or you convert this ordinance into a bill and then get the approval. This is the ordinance now. Now, please, this ordinance is not only for Income Tax Act. This ordinance is for specified act. Please note the word specified act. There are 8 acts for which ordinance has been brought. First name of the act is Income Tax Act. Second name of the act is Wealth Tax Act. You will all say, why Wealth Tax Act? Wealth Tax is gone, but wait. Wealth Tax Act. Third is the Black Money Act. Fourth is your Benami Property Transaction Act. Fifth is Security Transaction Law. Sixth is Commodity Transaction Law. Seventh is Equalization Levy. And the 8th is Vivad Se Vishwas Act. Vivad Se Vishwas Act. These are the 8 acts. Common name given to them is Specified Act. पहली बात समझ में आ गई? मैं 8 की बात कर रहा हूं, पहले स्पेसिफाइड एक्ट की बात कर रहा हूं और मैं समझाने जा रहा हूं. जरा सुनिए, जरा ध्यान से सुनना प्लीज. एक एक वर्ड सुनने वाला है. Where the time limit, where there is some due date, where there is some due date specified in the specified act, due date specified, or prescribed in the specified act, or notified in the specified act. For the specified act, due date is prescribed in, not in Income Tax Act, all the 8 acts. There is a due date prescribed or specified or notified in the specified act. And please note, which falls due, that due date falls due between 20th March and 29th June. That due date which is prescribed or notified or specified falls due on between 20th March and 29th June. That due date has been extended to 30th June. That which falls due on 20th March to 29th June, extended to 30th June. Wait. Even it may be extended beyond 30th June. They have taken a power in the ordinance. They may do it, they may not do it, that is later. But they have already taken the power. Even 20th March to 29th June, there also they have taken a power beyond 29th June, because you never know what is going to be the impact of this COVID. So that's why power has been taken. But till to date, if your due date falls between 20th March to 29th June, please, you can do it up to 30th June. I'll give you 3 examples, then I'll take you example for each act. Coming to now. First example, you have to file return of income. You are supposed to file return of income, but assessment year 1920, previous year 1890. You have to file before the due date, but sometimes you are in a habit of doing it. Kai late latif hote hain. They want to file belated return, or belated return was also supposed to be filed by 31st March, because you cannot file belated return after 31st March now. Earlier 1 year was allowed, now it is not allowed. Even a revised return under 139(5), if you have committed any mistake, there is a omission and wrongful statement, you could revise it up to 31st March. What is the due date? 31st March, which is after 20th March. Now this due date has been extended to 1st March. That means you can revise your return, you can file a belated return of assessment year 1920 by 30th June. Assessment year 1920, previous year 1819. If you have not yet filed, you can file it up to 30th June. Clear? 30th June. दूसरा लीजिए, एक लॉ आया था 139AA में, that you have to link your PAN with the Aadhaar. Aadhaar card has to be linked with the PAN, and the last date was 31st March 2020. Now this also has been extended till 30th June, that you can go up to linking up to 30th June. You know, Vivad Se Vishwas Act, you were supposed to pay the money up to 31st March, failing which you had to pay 10% extra. Am I right? What was the due date? 31st March, extended to 30th June. Rather, you can pay even after 30th June from 1st July, but that will be 10% extra. 10% extra. Instead of 100, 110, instead of penalty, etc., 25, 35, that will be extended. Right? Now I'm coming to your Income Tax Act or other act, all act. In income tax, we call Income Tax Authority or ITAT, Income Tax Appellate Tribunal. And Benami, we call it as initiating officer, we call it as adjudicating authority, we call it as appellate tribunal, and there are very other law where different name has been given to the government institutions or tribunal. Now what they have said, if there were any proceeding pending before any authority, or there is any order was to be passed by the authority, order was to be passed by any authority, or there was some approval to be given by the authority, or intimation had to be issued by the authority, or some notification had to be issued by the authority, or any other action was supposed to be taken by the authority which was due between 20th March and 29th June, the authority can get a now benefit, they can do it up to 30th June. Meaning thereby, if notice was supposed to be issued under 148 for reassessment, which was for 4 years or 6 years, and the last date, let's say, was for that was 31st March for issue of notice, because it falls after 20th March, now this notice can be issued till 30th June for your 148. It's not over. It can be June up to one, even in wealth tax reassessment notice under 17, under section 17, 4 years or 6 years, they can now issue up to 30th June. That's why they said wealth tax they have brought it. Under Benami law, everything was supposed to be done, which falls due between 20th March and 30th June, 29th June. They can do it up to 30th June in Benami law, in STT, So any order to be passed by the authority, any proceeding which were pending before the authority, completion was pending, any intimation which was supposed to be given by authority, any order, sanction order which was given to be then, or any approval which they are supposed to then, or any other action which they are supposed to take and which was falling between 20th March and 29th June, they can now take it up to 30th June. And now from taxpayer point of view, if you have to file any appeal, if they were supposed to file any return, if you are supposed to file any reply, if you were supposed to file any audit, any report, if you are supposed to file any other pay document, or you had to take any other action which was falling due between 20th March and 29th June, please note that has also been extended to 30th June. Under various acts, not only Income Tax Act, all act, furnishing return, filing of appeal, filing of a reply, filing of what you call document, filing of any, doing any action, filing of any what you call report, etc. All extended till 30th June. Now I'm coming to Income Tax Act. Try to understand. We have section 54 to 54 GB under capital gain for exemption. What is section 54 saying? If you sell a residential house, you are individual HUF, you sell a residential house, you acquire a residential house within a period of 2 years immediately from the date of transfer, or construct a new residential house within a period of 3 years from the date of transfer, the capital gain so invested shall be exempt. Remember? Now please note, if the period of 2 years or period of 3 years was expiring between 20th March and 29th June, if that period was expiring between 20th to 29th June, it has been extended to 30th June. This is 54. Similarly, 54B, you sell an urban agricultural land, buy another agricultural land within a period of 2 years from the date of transfer, it is treated as exempt to the extent it is invested in the new agricultural land. But here also, you were supposed to invest in the new agricultural land within a period of 2 years from the date of transfer. But if the 2-year period is expiring between 20th March to 29th June, it has been extended to 30th June. Like 54EC, you sell any land or building, you have a capital gain, you can invest up to 50 lakh capital gain in the Rural Electrification Corporation bond or the National Highway Authority bond within a period of 6 months from the date of transfer. 6 months from the date of transfer. Remember? Now, if the period of 6 months is expiring between 20th March and 29th June, it has also been extended to 30th June. Till today, it is 30th June. Tomorrow, what happens? I've told you, power has been taken. So all section 54, 54B, 54EC, 54D, 54F, 54G, 54GA, GB, if there was an expiry period which was expiring between 20th March and 29th June, has been extended to 30th June. Now coming to another deduction under Part B of Chapter 6A, starting from 80C to 80GGBB. There are these deduction, 80C or 80GGB. Some deduction are allowed only when they are paid during the year. Some deduction even payable is allowed. I'm not talking about payable because payable to otherwise allowed. But suppose it was supposed to be paid. I had to invest in PPF. सुनील जी ने नहीं इन्वेस्ट किया 31 मार्च. हो सकता है इन्होंने कर दिया हो क्योंकि इनके पास पैसे हैं, वो 1 अप्रैल को ही कर दिया हो इन्होंने, और ये तो सारे दिन में कर देते हैं. मेरा जैसा कमाता है और फिर इन्वेस्ट करता है. 31 मार्च तक इन्वेस्ट करना था, 80C का बेनिफिट वो मैं कर नहीं सका, कोई बात नहीं, एक्सटेंडेड टिल 30th जून. मैं 80C का बेनिफिट अगर कर दूं जमा 30th जून तक तो भी मुझे मिल जाएगा. तो कईयों ने मुझसे सवाल पूछा, सर क्या करा रहे हो? प्रोविडेंट फंड में तो मैक्सिमम डिपॉजिट ही 1,50,000 पर ईयर होता है. अगर मैंने पिछले साल का हिस्सा अगले साल कराया तो अगले साल का क्या करूंगा? वो 150 तो अलाउ ही नहीं करेंगे. डोंट वरी, मेमोरेंडम कहा गया, ठीक करवा दिया कि अगर पिछले साल का है और इस साल जमा करा रहे हैं जून तक, एक अंडरटेकिंग दे दीजिए कि मैं पिछले साल का करा रहा हूं और वो बेनिफिट आप पिछले साल दे लीजिए और एक और जमा करा दीजिए. करंट ईयर का 1.5 लाख हम कुछ नहीं करेंगे. ये कर दिया गया. दिस हैज बीन डन. मैंने एक पानी भी बूंद नहीं पिया, लेकिन पटोदिया साहब ने 5 बार पानी घूट पी लिया है. देखिए क्या मैं पानी पिला रहा हूं इनको? मैं बार पानी नहीं पिला, डरा नहीं रहा पटोदिया साहब. सुनील जी मैं डरा नहीं रहा, मैं लॉ बता रहा हूं. मैं तो एक घूट भी पानी नहीं पी रहा, लेकिन आपने तो 5-6 बार पानी पी लिया. लग ये रहा है कि यार फंस गए. चलिए चलिए, थोड़ा ब्रेक करना था, थोड़ा सुनाना तो जोक करना पड़ता है, नहीं तो थक जाता है आदमी. चलिए मैं क्या कह रहा हूं, कोई 80C का बेनिफिट आप नहीं ले सके. आप FDRE बनाना चाहते थे, नहीं बनवाया. आपको NSC सर्टिफिकेट लेने थे, नहीं लिए. ले लीजिए 30 जून तक और पिछले साल ले लीजिए, अगले साल का अलग मिलेगा. इस तरह 80D मेडिकल का हेल्थ इंश्योरेंस उसका भी मिलेगा. 80E, अरे आपका कोई लोन पेमेंट करना था, एजुकेशन लोन, और उसकी ड्यू डेट 20 मार्च के बाद आ रही है तो आप कर सकते हैं. 80G डोनेशन, मेन तो डोनेशन के लिए किया है. कोई 31 मार्च तक कर देते तो ठीक है, लेकिन कईयों ने करा नहीं, पैसे भी नहीं थे. अब उन्होंने कहा 30 जून तक कर दो और पिछले साल का डिडक्शन ले लो और प्राइम मिनिस्टर केयर फंड में भी कर दो. अब तो उन्होंने प्राइम मिनिस्टर केयर फंड भी ले आए. प्राइम मिनिस्टर केयर फंड को ले आए हैं 1023C में भी और 80G में भी. आप प्राइम मिनिस्टर केयर फंड को कर दो और पिछले साल ले लो. अगले साल लेना अगले साल लो, लेकिन पिछले साल भी अलाउड हो जाएगा प्राइम मिनिस्टर केयर फंड को डोनेट कर. 100% विदाउट एनी लिमिट ऑफ 10%. कोई लिमिट नहीं, 100%. आप किसी भी डोनेशन दीजिए, प्राइम मिनिस्टर रिलीफ फंड को दीजिए, जो मर्जी दीजिए, आपको डिडक्शन मिलेगा. चीफ मिनिस्टर रिलीफ फंड को दीजिए, मुझे कोई दिक्कत नहीं. लेकिन रुकिए, अगर CSR का फंड है वो कंपनियों के पास है। तो CSR को प्राइम मिनिस्टर केयर फंड में दे सकते हैं, लेकिन CSR को चीफ मिनिस्टर वेलफेयर फंड में नहीं दे सकते, चीफ मिनिस्टर रिलीफ फंड में नहीं। प्राइम मिनिस्टर केयर फंड में या प्राइम मिनिस्टर रिलीफ फंड में दीजिए, आपको डिडक्शन मिल जाएगी 80G में CSR की, लेकिन प्राइम मिनिस्टर चीफ मिनिस्टर रिलीफ फंड में नहीं। हाँ, बाकी दे दो, आप दो, कंपनी दे, आप दो, जो मर्जी दो, 80G मिल जाए, कोई मना नहीं हो रहा है, 80G मिलेगा। इवन इफ जून तक दे दो, पिछले साल ले। ये एक नया ला आ गया, ये 80G का भी आ गया, 80GG भी आ गया, ये भी नवा चीज था। अब अगला चीज ध्यान से सुनना, ये सुनने वाला है, आपको दुख होगा, और मैंने बड़ी कोशिश करी, माना नहीं। अगर कोई टैक्स ड्यू है अंडर 8 एक्ट मैंने बता दिया, इनकम टैक्स, वेल्थ टैक्स, बेनामी प्रॉपर्टी एक्ट, व्हाट यू कॉल ब्लैक मनी एक्ट, STT, CTT, इक्वलाइजेशन लेवी या विवाद से विश्वास, कोई टैक्स या लेवी तो सिर्फ एक ही जगह आती है, लेवी पेबल है और उसकी ड्यू डेट 20 मार्च से 29 जून है, तो आप 30 जून तक दे सकते हैं, लेकिन कोई रिलैक्सेशन नहीं है 30 जून तक देंगे तो ना, ड्यू डेट्स के बाद देंगे तो आपको इंटरेस्ट तो देना ही पड़ेगा। मैंने बहुत कोशिश करी जब 30 अप्रैल आ रहा था, क्योंकि पहले तो मैंने सोचा कि अभी तो ये पहला लॉकडाउन है तो 30 अप्रैल तो दूर है, मैंने 25-26 अप्रैल से शुरू कर दिया। मैंने कहा जी लॉकडाउन 30 मई तक हो गया है, तो ये 31 मार्च का जो TDS है वो 30 अप्रैल को जमा कराना है। सबको पता है 30 अप्रैल तक कराना है, और 31 मई तक तो स्टेटमेंट देनी है। स्टेटमेंट की तो कोई प्रॉब्लम नहीं हो, 30 जून हो गया, लेकिन इसका क्या करें, 30 अप्रैल सर एक्सटेंड कर दो, नहीं माने, कहते ना, सरकार को भी पैसा चाहिए, आप देर में देना चाहे तो इंटरेस्ट देना पड़ेगा। कितना, 1% या 1.5% नहीं, 0.75% पर मंथ और पार्ट ऑफ द मंथ, 0.75 पर मंथ और पार्ट ऑफ द मंथ। लेकिन तब लगेगा 0.75 जब 30 जून तक जमा करा दो। 30 जून के बाद कराओगे तो फिर वही लगेगा 1% और 1.5। आपका TDS 30 अप्रैल का ड्यू था, मैंने हाथ जोड़े थे, सर इसको तो बढ़ा दो, मई का मत बढ़ाना, अप्रैल का तो बढ़ा दो, नहीं बढ़ाया। उन्होंने कह दिया नहीं, इंटरेस्ट तो देना ही पड़ेगा जिन्होंने नहीं जमा कराया, 0.75% पर मंथ और पार्ट ऑफ द मंथ, चाहे आपका 1% लगना था या 1.5, लेकिन 30 जून तक कराना पड़ेगा, प्लीज 30 जून तक कराना पड़ेगा, 30 जून के बाद नहीं। अब अप्रैल का ड्यू हो रहा है मई 7 को, ये भी तो ड्यू हो गया। मार्च का तो 30 अप्रैल था, अप्रैल का तो मई 7 को ड्यू होने जा रहा है, कोई रिलैक्सेशन नहीं, 0.75%। मई का ड्यू होगा जून को, 7 जून को, 0.7%, लेकिन जमा 30 जून तक करा देना, चाहे ये इनकम टैक्स है, चाहे वो लेवी है, चाहे कुछ भी है, ड्यू डेट नहीं बढ़ाई है, ड्यू डेट नहीं बढ़ाई, रेट तो रेट ऑफ टैक्स कम कर दिया 0.75%, और जहां 12 लगता है, 18 लगता है, वहां भी 9 कर दिया, कोई और टैक्स है 9%, 0.12 और 18 से 9, वो भी कर दिया है, लेकिन ड्यू डेट नहीं बढ़ी। मैं बार बार कह रहा हूं ड्यू डेट नहीं बढ़ी है, लेकिन अब 15 जून को भी तो आ रहा है, क्या एडवांस टैक्स नहीं बढ़ा, 30 जून आ जाएगा, 30 जून, लेकिन इंटरेस्ट देना पड़ेगा 0.75% फॉर 3 मंथ्स। नहीं तो अगर 30 जून के बाद जमा कराओगे, हम तो फिर कहते हैं सितंबर में ही करा लेंगे, तो फिर 1% फॉर 3 मंथ्स है। लेकिन अगर 15 जून को नहीं कराया बाई चांस, तो 15 सितंबर 31 जून तक करा देंगे, तो 0.575 है 3 महीने का, 3 महीने का तो लेना ही लेना है, वो तो रूल है उसका इंटरेस्ट का, 234C का, वो तो रूल है, लेकिन 0.75% कर देंगे एक के बदले, 15 जून वाला, लेकिन डेट नहीं बढ़ाई, 15 जून ही है, और उसके बाद 0.75, और वो भी 30 जून तक कर दो तो, और 30 जून बढ़ाएंगे तो बात की बात। तो ये प्लीज याद रखना। अब सवाल आया था कि हमने फॉर्म 13 के लिए अप्लाई करना था फॉर नील रेट और लोअर रेट। फॉर्म 13 अप्लाई किया जाता है क्योंकि 1 अप्रैल से नई पेमेंटें करनी है और नए लेना है माल, तो फॉर्म 13 नील और लोअर रेट का होता है। हम नॉर्मली अप्लाई कर देते हैं 31 मार्च तक, ताकि मिल जाएगा, और हमें 1 अप्रैल से चाहिए, वो दे देते हैं। लेकिन कईयों ने अप्लाई कर दिया, लेकिन अभी तक वो डिस्पोजल नहीं हुआ, वो पेंडिंग एप्लीकेशन इन फॉर्म 13, घबराने की जरूरत नहीं है। ये जो पुराना आपके पास फॉर्म है, जो लोअर रेट का या नील रेट का, वो सर्टिफिकेट अगले 3 महीने भी चलेगा। 3 months और your application is disposed of, whichever is earlier, अगर उन्होंने एप्लीकेशन डिस्पोज ऑफ कर तो नया सर्टिफिकेट दे ही देंगे। अगर डिस्पोज ऑफ नहीं करी तो अप टू 30 जून जो भी पिछला सर्टिफिकेट है, अरे वो लिमिट होगी क्वांटिटी की, अमाउंट की, होने दो, वो कोई बात नहीं, वो नई लिमिट बन जाएगी इस साल के लिए 30 जून तक वही फॉर्म चल जाएगा। अब कोई कह रहे सर हमें पास पुराना सर्टिफिकेट तो है बट वी डिड नॉट अप्लाई, हम सोचा था 31 मार्च तक अप्लाई कर देंगे, वी हैव नॉट येट अप्लाइड, डोंट वरी, द ओल्ड वन विल कंटिन्यू बट you will have to apply once the position improves or it is valid for 30th June। ये भी हो गया। कोई कहता है सर हमारे पास पिछले साल का कोई सर्टिफिकेट ही नहीं है, हमें तो पहली बार अप्लाई करना था, तो कर दीजिए ऑल अप्लाई, कोई बात नहीं, आपको 1 अप्रैल से मिल जाएगा, अब अप्लाई कर दीजिए, ऑनलाइन ही तो है, कर दीजिए। अब आया नॉन रेजिडेंट के केस में, उसका ये बिजनेस कनेक्शन इंडिया में है लेकिन उसके पास कोई फॉर्म नहीं है, तो कोई बात नहीं, उस केस में आप 10% काट लीजिए। मेरी आवाज आ रही है? 1 सेकंड के लिए डिस्कनेक्ट हुआ था, चलिए उस पे काट लीजिए। अब 15G 15H के लिए तो वैसे ही नोटिफिकेशन आ गया कि 15G 15H आपको जून तक दे सकते हैं, कोई दिक्कत नहीं होगी, पुराने के बेस पे वो नहीं काटेंगे, लेकिन जून तक 15G 15H भी दे सकते हैं, ये भी एक एडवांटेज आपको दे दिया गया। और भी एक छोटी चीज है, लेकिन मैं अब यहाँ पर रुक रहा हूँ क्योंकि मैं अब चाहूंगा आप जितने सवाल पूछना चाहते हैं उतने सवाल पूछिए। जो भी कोऑर्डिनेटर है, विराग था, उस वक्त विराग को आवाज नहीं आ रही थी, अब आ रही है, तो लीजिए जितने मर्जी सवाल पूछिए, मैं आपको जवाब दूंगा। अगर मेरे स्क्रीन पे लाना चाहते हैं तो वहां ले आइए, मैं पढ़ के जवाब दे दूंगा। अब स्क्रीन पे आ जाते हैं कई सामने, नहीं आते तो मुझे दे दीजिए, कोई और तरीका मुझे बता दीजिए, मैं दे दूंगा, नहीं तो आप बोलिए, मैं उसका जवाब देता हूँ जितने भी क्वेश्चंस हैं।
सर सबसे पहले मैं पूछना चाहता था कि जो रेजिडेंशियल स्टेटस है उसमें इम्पैक्ट दोनों को, कुछ लोगों के लिए बेनिफिशियल रहा होगा, कुछ लोगों को अगेंस्ट में गया होगा। तो
बेनिफिशियल किसी को नहीं हुआ है,
बेनिफिशियल किसी को नहीं हुआ।
हाँ बोलिए, क्या आगे बोलिए।
नहीं वो
देखिए ऐसा है आजकल बहुत इंडियन नॉन रेजिडेंट बन रहे हैं। एक तो वो चाहते नहीं है फॉरेन एसेट की डिटेल देना, फॉरेन इनकम की डिटेल देना, क्योंकि अगर रेजिडेंट एंड ऑर्डिनरी रेजिडेंट है तो डिटेल देनी पड़ती है, नॉट ऑर्डिनरी को नहीं देनी पड़ती। हम तो नॉट ऑर्डिनरी बना रहे हैं ना, हमने तो कह दिया अगर आपकी 15 लाख से ज्यादा है, आप इंडिया में 120 दिन से 181 दिन आइए, हम नॉट ऑर्डिनरी कहेंगे, आपसे डिटेल नहीं मांग रहे। आप डीम्ड रेजिडेंट हैं क्योंकि आपका वहां टैक्स नहीं लगता, तो भी हमने आपको नॉट डीम्ड रेजिडेंट को भी नॉट ऑर्डिनरी कह दिया। फिर आपको ये भी कह दिया कि आप ट्रीटी का बेनिफिट ले लीजिए, तो अगर दोनों जगह के रेजिडेंट हैं तो डिसाइड कर लीजिए कहाँ के रेजिडेंट हैं। फॉरेन के रेजिडेंट होंगे तो इंडिया के नॉन हो जाएंगे, तो और क्या चाहिए सरकार से? सरकार तो हर बात आपकी मान रही है, तो इसलिए
एकदम फेयर है।
हाँ जी बिल्कुल सर, थैंक यू। चलिए और पूछिए, और सवाल।
ये जो ऑर्डिनेंस में जो इंटरेस्ट का मैटर है सर, रेट ऑफ इंटरेस्ट कम किया है, लेकिन कुछ बिजनेस ऐसे हैं जिनका फिक्स एक्सपेंडिचर तो है और रेवेन्यू 0 हो गया, जैसे मारुति और मर्सिडीज का हो गया, तो उनका आउटफ्लो चालू है सर। तो जो टैक्स उनको 15 मार्च में भरना था या 15 जून में भरना है, वो तो उनकी प्रायोरिटी पे आ ही नहीं सकता, क्योंकि अभी उनकी प्रायोरिटी है कि कैसे भी जो असेट्स है, जो इंटेलेक्चुअल प्रॉपर्टीज है, उसको कैसे भी सेफ रखे।
मैं बिल्कुल एग्री करता हूँ, लेकिन वो कह रहे हैं मार्च वाला जो था, तो मार्च वाला था वो तो लास्ट में जब आपने जमा कराना था, अगर बिल नहीं आए तो 20 मार्च के बाद कोई डीलिंग भी नहीं हुई है, पुराने बिल आ गए हैं, तो ये पैसा आपका थोड़ी है, ये तो उनका देना है। जो TDS था सैलरी वालों का है, तो वो आपको देना पड़ेगा, उन्होंने इंटरेस्ट कर दिया। अब गवर्नमेंट को रेवेन्यू भी चाहिए था, लेकिन इंतजार कीजिए क्योंकि आगे डेट, अब रिलैक्सेशन आ रहा है, तो हो सकता है कुछ और रिलैक्सेशन कर दें। अभी तक तो उन्होंने नहीं माना, अभी तक तो मैंने बहुत कोशिश की कि 30 अप्रैल का तो कम से कम बढ़ा दो, क्योंकि 3 मई तक तो जब वैसे ही लॉकडाउन था, वो तो अब बढ़ गया ना 2 वीक और, लेकिन वो नहीं माने। 0.75% देना ही पड़ेगा। 15 जून का एडवांस टैक्स नहीं देते, अब यही कहना चाहते हैं ना। 15 जून का एडवांस टैक्स आने वाला है तो उस वक्त कैसे देंगे? वैसे तो 12% ही देना होता है, 15% नहीं 12 अगर दे दो तो भी कोई इंटरेस्ट नहीं लगता, लेकिन फिर भी उनको कह दिया कि भैया नहीं देना तो 3 महीने का इंटरेस्ट 3% है वो दे देना। अरे जो आपने इंटरेस्ट पे लोन ले रखे हैं वो भी तो उन्होंने कैरी मॉरिटोरियम ही दिया है ना, इंटरेस्ट तो माफ नहीं किया है। अरे बैंकों से लोन लेके मॉरिटोरियम ही दिया है ना 90 दिन का, अब और 90 दिन का दे देंगे, लेकिन माफ तो नहीं किया ना, तो इसलिए चिंता नहीं करिए, माफ नहीं करेंगे, पैसे कहाँ से लाएंगे। तो चलिए आगे बोलिए।
ऑडियंस से कोई क्वेश्चन हो तो विजेंद्र आप चेक कर लो कैसे लेना है।
करेक्ट।
देखिए कोई भी स्क्रीन पे आता तो स्क्रीन पे दे
सर
दीजिए।
एक क्वेश्चन है मेंबर का। सर ऑडियंस का क्वेश्चन ये है कि व्हाट डिक्लेरेशन इज रिक्वायर्ड टू बी फाइल्ड फॉर क्लेमिंग एटीजी डिडक्शन ऑफ पीएम केयर फंड। पीएम केयर फंड के लिए सर क्या
कोई डिक्लेरेशन नहीं देनी है आपने।
सर मेंबर पूछ रहे हैं कि पीएम केयर फंड के लिए क्या डिक्लेरेशन लगेगा सर?
नो कोई डिक्लेरेशन नहीं है। यू गिव टू पीएम केयर फंड and claim it in 1920. If you want to claim you can, because receipt is there. आप इसको इग्नोर कर लेंगे तो अगले साल मिलेगा ही नहीं, आपकी डिटेल तो इधर आ जाएगी ना, तो you will not get, you have to give your PAN number and everything. You are, there is no declaration, is only PPF है कि they you give the declaration that I will take it last year. इसमें कोई नहीं है। पीएम फंड में तो कितना भी आ जाए, तो इट इज योर चॉइस which one you want to take in 1920 ले लीजिए, बाकी 2021 में ले लीजिए। So there is nothing, no declaration, but please 100% reduction है without any limit. Anybody can donate, even those companies which are 22% liable or 15, they can also donate, but they cannot donate for next year. They can donate for last year. वो कर दे, last year में ले लें, अगले साल नहीं मिलेगा उनको। ठीक है, चलिए। अभिषेक की आवाज नहीं आ रही है, थोड़ी लिप्स मूवमेंट थी तो आवाज नहीं आ रही है अभिषेक की।
यस सर।
बोलिए, क्वेश्चन है तो बोलिए, और मुझे देखना तो बता दिए कहाँ, मैं देख लूंगा।
हाँ इधर क्वेश्चंस में काफी लोगों ने सर क्वेश्चन किया है। कुड यू प्लीज से सर हाउ एम्प्लॉयर विल गो फॉरवर्ड इन डिडक्टिंग टीडीएस ऑन सैलरी फॉर 2 tax regimes under the new tax regime and all tax
circular
regime,
has already come. Circular has already come. If he gives you undertaking that he goes for a new, you can deduct as per the new regime. It's already there now. The circular has already come that if he wants new regime, let him give you that he wants the TDS to be deducted under new regime. Do that way. Otherwise, old regime.
One question is regarding. Please clarify about the limit of section 44AB, whether the same is applicable for assessment year 2020.
Assessment year 2021. This year only. Assessment year 2021. Previous year 1920. 1920.
Okay. Any notification for MSME vendor payment relief?
आ जाने दो यार, तो चिंता क्यों करते हो, तैयार पड़ा हुआ है, वो कोविड ही बढ़ रहा है, आप कौन सी पेमेंट कर रहे हो, आ जाएगा, आ रहा है, वेट करिए, आ रहा है। हमारे सीए बड़े ध्यान रखते हैं एमएसएमई, वो नहीं ध्यान रखेंगे, हम पूछ रहे हैं सर कब उनको दे रहे हो बेनिफिट, कब दे रहे हो बेनिफिट, आ जाए, प्लीज वेट। नेक्स्ट क्वेश्चन।
Sir,
can you please explain?
Question, I'm audible.
हाँ जी, एक टाइम लो ना, एक वो बोले जो भी लेना है।
हाँ विजेंद्र जी, यू कैन गो अहेड।
बोलिए विजेंद्र जी।
सर एक क्वेश्चन की, ये लॉकडाउन के बाद सर ये लॉकडाउन के बाद हम डायरेक्ट टैक्स प्रैक्टिशनर को क्या क्या रिलीफ मिलने के चांसेस है सर?
हमें
आपके अनुभव से
रिलीफ लेने हैं।
हाँ,
हमें तो आपको सबसे बड़ा रिलीफ तो दिलवा दिया, ऑडिट वाला, बैंक ऑडिट, ये तो गया था, आपसे बड़ा रिलीफ नहीं है, ये बैंक ऑडिट गया था, ये तो समझ लीजिए। अब मैं बोलना नहीं चाहता, मिल गया आपको। मैं ऑडिट नहीं करता, लेकिन मुझे मेहनत मुझे भी करनी पड़ी, इंस्टीट्यूट को बहुत मेहनत करी, प्रेसिडेंट ने करी, सबने करी, मिलके करी, लेकिन ये गया था। इससे बड़ा रिलीफ कोई नहीं मिलेगा सर। बाकी क्या रिलीफ चाहिए प्रोफेशनल को, रिलीफ ही रिलीफ है। कितने आराम से हम काम कर रहे हैं, वर्क फ्रॉम होम तो अलाउड है, हमारा वे ऑफ लाइफ बदल गया, हमारा वे ऑफ वर्किंग बदल जाएगा, वे ऑफ लाइफ एंड वे ऑफ वर्किंग दोनों बदल गए हैं, ये मैं बता रहा हूँ। इतनी पढ़ाई तो किसी ने नहीं की जितनी सीएम ने कर ली इतने दिनों में, ऐसे ही पढ़ाई की कि पूछिए नहीं। मैं तो कह रहा हूँ पूरी नॉलेज का सारे ही हो गए, सारे ही प्रोग्राम कर रहे हैं, इतनी नॉलेज तो मैं कह ही नहीं सकता, इतनी तो मैंने साल भर में नहीं बांटी जितनी मैंने 40 दिन में बांट दी। चलिए आगे बताइए, नेक्स्ट।
Sir, one question. TCS sales consideration exceed rupees 50 lakhs. TCS to be deducted on billing wise or on receipt basis. Receipt
पहला तो
basis
बता दूं,
calculation would be.
please, there is a misconception. People are thinking it is on the sale of goods. It's not on the sale of goods. It is on the consideration received. Sale might have been done like last year. Amount received this year on after 1st October. Sale may be done this year and amount also received this year. You received advance. Sale is next year. Then also you have to do. So it is on the consideration received, not on the. It is on the sale of goods. But when the sale of goods has taken place is not important. When the consideration received, and that too after 1st of October. But while calculating limit of 75 lakh, whatever received between 1st of April to September will also be counted. Because 75 lakh in a year up to 30th September, no need to collect. But from October, you have to do it. But while calculating 75 lakh, include April to September also. Next.
Sir, one unofficial question is coming from one member that is there any relief will come for income tax payer for this COVID scenario? Means that there is any relief under income tax for
I'm not the finance
individual.
minister. I'm not the finance minister of India, and I'm not the prime minister also. Day in, day out, the meetings are going on. Day in, day out, the meetings are going on. I don't know what kind of a law is going to come. I have also, these days I can't go, but earlier we had a lot of discussion, no doubt. But relaxations are going to be there, maybe in the form of, not in the form of tax, but in the other form. It will be there. Economic reforms are going to be there. चलिए नेक्स्ट। ये क्वेश्चन रिलेटेड थोड़ी है टॉपिक से, ये मुझे फाइनेंस मिनिस्टर में गवर्नमेंट के यहाँ से नहीं आया हूँ मैं, वन ऑफ यू हूँ, मेरे को गवर्नमेंट से नहीं आया भाई। चलिए आगे।
Sir, but you are a part of directly, indirectly part of government, so we can ask you.
ठीक है, अब मैं आई एम नॉट ए स्पोक्स पर्सन। इवन आज भी इकोनॉमिक एडवाइजर ने जो कहा, चीफ इकोनॉमिक एडवाइजर ने, उसकी भी हिम्मत नहीं थी बताने की क्या है। उसने कहा आएगा 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 आएगा, आने वाला, आने तो आएगा जब देखेंगे। अभी तक कुछ नहीं आया, आएगा पक्का आएगा। यू आर वेटिंग। हर बार लॉकडाउन बढ़ जाता है इसलिए वो।
सर कोविड के बाद सर हम प्रोफेशनल्स के लिए क्या,
अरे बहुत अपॉर्चुनिटी, हमारी चिंता मत करो। भगवान, हम देखिए ब्लेसिंग इन डिस्गाइज। हर चीज को ये सोचना चाहिए भगवान जो करता है अच्छे के लिए करता है, कोई भगवान बुरा नहीं करता है। ये आपके दिमाग में बिल्कुल परेशानी नहीं आनी चाहिए। बी पॉजिटिव, हमेशा नेगेटिव माइंड ही खराब करता है, पॉजिटिव रखिए। स्टे हेल्दी, ना तो आप बाहर जाइए ना आपका पेट बाहर जाए। पेट भी बाहर नहीं, ये पेट भी बाहर नहीं जाना। मैं पहले बता दूं, मैंने बहुत एक्सरसाइज करी है। मैं रामदेव जी के सवेरे तो आता है, लेकिन मैं खुद करता हूं। आई हैव रिड्यूस 6 kg इन 1 month एंड 10 days टाइम। इसलिए मैं बता रहा हूं, प्लीज आपने आप को कंट्रोल करो। अपनी बीवियों को तंग मत करो कि ये बना के दे और ये बना के दे। नहीं नहीं नहीं, डाइट कंट्रोल एंड वर्क फ्रॉम होम, एंजॉय द लाइफ। अरे भगवान ने कुछ अच्छे के लिए किया होगा, आज बुरा लग रहा है। लेट अस नॉट थिंक ऑन दोस लाइन्स। बी पॉजिटिव एंड यू रिमेन ऑलवेज पॉजिटिव। यही दुनिया में सीखना चाहिए।
वेरी गुड।
नेगेटिव कोई फायदा नहीं। चलिए आगे बोलिए।
Sir, one question is related to this investment which allows till 30th June. So how employer will consider in this year or next year? How employer will track on
30th
that?
अप्रैल तक जमा करा दिया होता तो आप उसको दे दीजिए बेनिफिट। अब अंडरटेकिंग आप लेंगे तो क्या पता वो कराए या ना कराए। फिर आप फंस जाएंगे. So if he had deposited by 30th September, give him the relief. If he has not deposited by 30th September, let him take the relief in his return of income. Let him take the relief in his return of income. We cannot give. Employer के ऊपर liability आ जाएगी. 30th September कराता, 30th September में आपको दे देता, तो आप मत जमा कराओ. लेकिन अगर नहीं कराया, सॉरी 30th April तक, क्योंकि आपने 30th अप्रैल को जमा कराना था. 30th अप्रैल तक कराता, ठीक है. नहीं कराता, थैंक यू वेरी मच, करा लेना और अपनी रिटर्न में ले लेना. चलिए नेक्स्ट.
Whether 12A registration received.
हाँ, अगर आपको रजिस्ट्रेशन मिल गई है तो भी आपको अप्लाई करना है दोबारा. 1 महीना पहले मिली हो तो भी अप्लाई करना है. आपको 2 महीने पहले मिली, 1 महीना पहले मिली तो भी अप्लाई करना. हाँ, आपकी एप्लीकेशन पेंडिंग है तो आपको अप्लाई नहीं करना. वो एग्जिस्टिंग को नए लॉ में लाकर वो आपको प्रोविजनल रजिस्ट्रेशन दे देंगे. प्रोविजनल रजिस्ट्रेशन फॉर 3 years.
सर एक क्वेश्चन और है, टॉपिक से
सर
रिलेटेड
1 मिनट में 1 सेकंड कॉल के लिए मैं मना करता हूँ, बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट है, फिर बताता हूँ. सर मैं 5 मिनट थोड़ी देर करना सर. सर आई कॉल यू बैक, मैं एक वेबिनार में हूँ, मैं आज कॉल यू. ओके, मैं करता हूँ 10 मिनट. हाँ जी, हाँ जी, सॉरी, इट वाज वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट कॉल इसलिए. हाँ जी बोलिए.
एक और क्वेश्चन है, रिलेटेड नहीं है टॉपिक से.
हाँ,
व्हेन देयर इज ऑलरेडी पीएम रिलीफ फंड, व्हाई पीएम केयर्स फंड?
PM relief fund is meant for many things. It can be used for any other purpose. Care fund is only for this particular purpose. That's why they have done. Care fund, they will have an audit done. They will have the audit done. They will be only exclusively for this purpose. PM care fund में तो कहीं से कहीं आया और कहीं यूज कर दिया तो फायदा क्यों? इसलिए केयर फंड आया कि ताकि एक्सक्लूसिवली पैसा यहाँ आए और इसी में यूज. चलिए
सर, लेकिन फिर इसका नाम गवर्नमेंट को पीएम कोविड फंड रखना चाहिए ना. आगे पीएम
केयर
का
फंड में क्या
इंटरप्रिटेशन
लिखा है? अरे पूरा नाम पढ़ो तो सही. केयर का क्या मतलब है? क्या ना, केयर का क्या मतलब है?
केयर तो सर किसी भी चीज की केयर हो सकती है ना.
नहीं
मतलब
नहीं नहीं नहीं,
उसको-
केयर तो शॉर्ट
ओ
नेम है.
एब्रीविएशन है.
सिटीजन अवेयरनेस केयर फंड का नाम ये नहीं है, सिटीजन अवेयर रिलीफ फंड है. अरे वो केयर को तो शॉर्ट किया हुआ है. आप केयर को इसलिए आगे CARE केयर हो गया, ये नहीं है. ये सिटीजन केयर का फुल फॉर्म है. इसका फुल फॉर्म है.
भावना जी बोलिए.
चलिए बोलिए बोलिए.
Sir, just to introduce that we are having.
this all Ahuja ji जिस तरह बात कर रहे हैं, एंजॉय कर रहे हैं, लगता है this is a very enjoyable chapter, not a practical income tax of the government of India. So I am enjoying a lot of this session in all the ways. And Ahuja साहब जिस तरह बात करते हैं, जितने easiest बात में करते हैं, we are just like a entertainment during this.
क्या मुझे कपिल शर्मा बना रहे हैं?
साहब उसके टफ कंपेयर करते हुए यार, नॉट कपिल शर्मा.
Sir, just to give you a,
PM, not less than that, but PM and all.
चलिए
Because we are an expert advisor on this by this all critical issues of the income tax. This is very critical in a easiest way and in a good mood, you can say. I think you should be advisor to the government of India or finance ministry to give it a good suggestion for the public interest.
सर मुझसे वो लेते रहते, डोंट वरी अबाउट दैट. मुझे मिलते रहते.
Thank you.
Not only income tax, all economic issues, they are taking advice from Dr. Awajari.
They are not taking advice. They are taking suggestion. Please don't tell me advice. I am not an advisor. I can only provide suggestions. They accept it. They don't accept it. चलिए.
The questions are coming, but we can conclude right now.
Okay.
Virag, what you say? Because there are lots of questions, so we can't handle it right now because it will take another 1 hour to answer all the questions. So now I request Bafna ji to give a formal vote of thanks to Dr. C.A. Girish Ahuja sir. Just to give you introduction of Bafna ji, he's a JCF president of Navi Mumbai and he's an ex-president of Mahavir International Navi Mumbai, and he's a very active and social chartered accountant. So Bafna ji, please give a formal vote of thanks.
Thank you, Viraj. It's a very great pleasure for me to present a vote of thanks to the great personality of this Dr. Girish Ahuja Sahab, for giving us a very good session on this taxation amendment, this bill, finance bill amendment, and to our professional colleagues. And thanks to Sunil Patil ji also. He is also expert in all this taxation and financial matters. And our branch, this Vijendra Jain ji, is always regular to our JCF meetings and other WRC meeting also. So we are regularly meeting with the Vijendra. He is a very cooperative person. He is very helping to the people, students, and chartered account professors. So thanks to all again for your very good session provided by you, the great personalities of this taxation. Thank you. Thank you, Bishop Sheikh and Virag, for giving us a good organization, organize this webinar session during this period of, you can say this is a valuable time for this session we have spent for this today. Thank you to all.
Sunil
Okay,
sir,
Abhishek.
I request you to say a few words. Sunil sir.
Girish Bhavna ji,
Sir, your voice is not coming, sir. Sunil sir.
Sir, unmute.
हाँ अभी आ रही है
Now. Yes.
विजेंद्र की
आ
आवाज
रही है।
नहीं आ रही है। मैं अभिषेक ऐसे कहना चाहता
Yes,
था
sir.
कि जो अमेंडमेंट और ऑर्डिनेंस लगभग दोनों साथ साथ में आए थे, बहुत चीजें मैं खुद कंफ्यूज था एक्चुअली, और बहुत सारे फ्रेंड्स के फोन आते रहते थे, यार ये क्या चल रहा है, गवर्नमेंट मतलब कुछ भी ऐसे लाती है। लेकिन आज मेरा माइंड काफी क्लियर हो गया है, और हमारे जो साथी लोगों ने आज अटेंड किया है, मुझे पूरा विश्वास है आज वो काफी क्लैरिटी से आगे बढ़ेंगे, अपने क्लाइंट्स को एडवाइस करेंगे, और हम इंतजार करेंगे उस समय का जब लोगों के पास काम धंधा करने के लिए पैसा गवर्नमेंट देगी या बैंकों से दिलाएगी, क्योंकि जब अब हमारे इंडियन लोग कमाएंगे तभी तो टैक्स बढ़ेगा। तो इस दिशा में गवर्नमेंट जरूर विचार करेगी। और जैसे गिरीश आहूजा जी बोल रहे हैं कि वो मेरे से राय नहीं, ओपिनियन नहीं लेते हैं, एडवाइस नहीं लेते हैं, मैं खाली सजेशन देता हूँ। तो एक सजेशन ये भी जरूर देंगे कि लोगों के हाथ में पैसा दो जिससे उससे पैसा कमा सके।
Certainly, sir.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.
So, thank you
Virag,
very much.
you want to say something?
No, thank you very much. Take care. Don't come out unless
Thank
allowed.
you, sir.
And please
Okay,
take care.
thank you.
Mumbai is a place where there is a danger.
Vijendra bhai.
So take care. Look
Please
after
conclude.
yourself. Stay healthy. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. Really honored.
Thank you,
Really
sir.
honored.
thank you Girish sir, thank you Sunil sir, thank you ताराचंद जी, बाफना जी। सर आपका आशीर्वाद हमें मिला, तो आपके लिए इसके लिए बहुत बहुत आभार है। एंड आपका तो हर जगह मार्गदर्शन। एंड थैंक यू सो मच सर, थैंक यू Sunil sir, you are a game changer. We will have 500 plus registration under the leadership of you. And thank you the legend of the What Next Up team, Abhishek and Virag, which are doing for the noble cause of our profession from the last 6 years. I hats off both of you guys, and thank you for interacting with me in this platform. Once again, Bapna sir, thank you. Virag bhai, Abhishek bhai, all viewers, stay home, stay healthy, safe, and वापस हम फेस टू फेस मिलेंगे। सोशल डिस्टेंसिंग बहुत जल्दी खत्म होगी। ये सब एक चीजें थी जो हम बच रहे थे, हमें परिवार के साथ देने का हमको मोदी जी ने और महामारी ने मौका दिया है। Be positive, stay the game changer, and follow the theme of game changer. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you, Sunil sir. Thank you
Thank
so
you,
much.
sir. Thank you, Sunil sir. So now we are
Thank
closing this.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Thank you, Bapna sir. Thank you, Virag bhai.